Sir, shall we start?
Yeah, we can. Okay.
Okay. Yes, good morning to all of you. Welcome you all. First of all, I would like to thank Honorable Vice Chancellor Sir, RGPV Bhopal, and Coordinator Sir, TechU3 RGPV Bhopal, for giving me the opportunity to host this 3 days online workshop on embedded systems, Internet of Things, IoT, and digital system design overview and an industry perspectives. This workshop will help the students and as well as faculty members to work on multidisciplinary emerging areas. I, Madhurima Sharma, welcome once again each and everyone on behalf of TechUp3 RGPV Bhopal. I feel grateful to welcome our respected Professor S.C. Chaubey sir, Coordinator TechUp3 RGPV Bhopal. I welcome Professor Sri Vasudevan sir, Sir IIT from Indore. Now may I request respected coordinator sir, Professor S.C. Chaubey sir, TechCube 3, RGPV Bhopal. Sir, please, over to you.
Thank you, Madhurima. I would like to welcome expert of the day, Dr. Vasudevan, and as he has given consent to be with us for 3 days to share his experience and teaching knowledge on embedded system, IoTs from industry perspective. Every other day, we had been organizing such programs, but still we feel that students and faculty need to know much more about the application of IoTs. As far as the academic is concerned, yes, we have a little bit knowledge about the IoTs, we know about the microcontrollers, we know about the embedded systems. But what is its applications? Our students are going to industries. What kind of applications they find in industries? That we have to see. And microprocessor and microcontrollers have proved their existence in all the automations. When today what we find, whether the robotics or strategic weapons, whether it is a satellites, everywhere you will find the application of embedded systems. And design of embedded system, that is important. Here it will not only that you know about a few lines of programs and your embedded system will work. You have to work on the hardware side. And when you feel once you do on the hardware, you have a confidence. And then you feel that, oh, okay, you can do anything in the world. Once you are confident in embedded systems, these embedded systems where electrical students are working, electronics and communication students, so there's the computer science engineering, everybody is working on this. And it is a mandate of the TechUp, Technical Education Quality Improvement Program, which is in fact, it is RGPV is the host of organizing all such programs. And TechUp 3 is putting all its effort to empower our students and teachers. This is the right time where you can have a very interactive sessions. You know that the contents are available. Even Dr. Vasudevan will also be agreed that the contents are available, whether it is NPTEL or books, or number of speakers are there, recorded lectures are available. But what is the important this time for our participants? That how to interact with your experts. Experts are there. I think that the 25% interaction should be from your side, from the participant side. And our speaker is from IIT Indore, and he is very close to us. Anytime he will be available for us, I expect so. He will be available with us, and let us see that how we can take the advantage of his being available at IIT Indore in Madhya Pradesh, and how you people, all participants, can get the advantage of Tech Group 3. Tech Group 3 is not going to repeat every year. Tech Group 3 is there, and which is facilitating. You will find a large number of programs going on. You can get registered in the Tech Group 3 portal and take the benefit of this, academic benefit out of this. And let us see that other states are not doing so much academic activities. When you compare with the UP, they are all also funded by the Tech Group. But if you see the events organized by these states are not to that extent where the Madhya Pradesh is organizing. And I hope that definitely you will get the advantage of this. And let us see that if I will also request the expert that at the end of the day or after 3 days, you can have also some kind of quiz, some kind of questions, which will help the students to answer those questions. And even every day they can give some questions, and next day for 15 minutes they can get the answer from the students. Our students, you know that I have got this some kind of mail. Students are busy in answering those quiz late night, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. That is what the culture this Madhya Pradesh and all students have inculcated, that they are working very hard. And for 3 days, it will be, I hope it will be very, very interactive session. And let us see that after the 3 days, whenever Dr. Vasudevan gets time, definitely will time to request him to spare time for the students of affiliated institutions of Madhya Pradesh. Once again, thank you very much, Dr. Vasudevan, for giving this much consent here. Your concern about this, our RGP affiliated students. Thank you very much. Okay. Madhumya, over to you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Now I invite our expert of the session, Professor Vasudevan, sir. Sir, please over to you.
Thank you, Madhurima. Thank you so much, Professor Chaubey, sir, for inviting me for giving this talk. Yeah, it's actually a pleasure to be in touch with students and academic fraternity at any point of time. And I'll be very happy to participate in this session, as well as be in touch with any of your students who are interested in doing any work with respect to embedded systems, with respect to electronics particularly, or if they are interested in doing some biomedical instrumentation also. I'll be very happy to interact and give my time, as well as take them up for any projects if it is possible in the future. Right now, I think because of COVID, everybody is now in their own homes, or they are now in their own hostels. So now things are a little difficult, but hopefully when things get better over a period of time, then we'll be very happy to participate in any discussion, or if you want me to basically have some interaction sessions, or want to do some practical sessions for your students, I'll be very happy to contribute to this, sir. Thank you so much for inviting me once again. So can we start?
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Vasudevan. Please.
Yes, sir.
And in between, you can also use some kind of Hindi or English like this, so that understanding our students is more important. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So यहाँ पे 50 students है. So 50 participants are totally. So is it possible to get some idea that how many students are from which background, which year of study, second year, third year, fourth year, or if you're doing masters? You can actually type a text message on the right side, so that I'll get some idea of what is the status of the audience here. So आप लोगों का qualification क्या है? आप second year BTech है, MTech है, तो CS MTech है, good. Deependra Bhushan, fourth year ECE, very good. आप सिर्फ मैसेज टाइप कर सकते हैं, so that I can understand. Mechanical second year, very good. So हम लोगों का पास diverse background है. So third year ECE, electrical fifth semester, okay. BTech third year EE, electronics bank second year. ठीक है, गुड. सेकेंड ईयर, थर्ड ईयर, फोर्थ ईयर है, एक मैकेनिकल का स्टूडेंट है. ठीक है, ओके. ऑटोमोबाइल इंजीनियरिंग में एक स्टूडेंट है, वेरी गुड. शांतनु शर्मा, मैकेनिकल सेकेंड ईयर. ठीक है, ओके. मैकेनिकल इंजीनियरिंग भी है, ऑटोमोबाइल इंजीनियरिंग है, और ईसी और इलेक्ट्रिकल है. ठीक है, ठीक है. So आप लोग, if you want to talk something in between, you can actually unmute your mic and then you can speak. So if you can speak one by one, it is always better. ठीक है, ये हम लोग ये क्लास जैसे वो नहीं कर सकते क्योंकि हमारा रियल टाइम क्लास नहीं है, तो इसलिए हम लोग टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करके अभी ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म में है हम लोग। ठीक है, व्हाट वी आर गोइंग टू डू इज आई विल स्पीक फॉर सम टाइम, then I'll give a break. If you guys have a pencil, paper or a pen with you, if you want to take notes, don't take notes now. Okay, so you can close your notebooks, close your pens, close your papers, just listen, and then every 10 minutes I'll give you some time of 5 minutes where you can quickly note down things. You can note it down, or if you want to write something, you can write something. If you want to ask questions at that time, or you can also ask questions. The thing is, since it is a online platform, it becomes very difficult for me to understand whether you guys understand, whether you guys listen to me, or whether you guys don't understand. I will not be able to clearly understand because it's an online platform. तो इसलिए हम लोग क्या करना है, एवरी 10 मिनट या 15 मिनट के बाद हम लोग एक इंटरेक्शन, छोटा सा इंटरेक्शन करेंगे। अब जो भी क्वेश्चन है आप लिख सकते हैं, आप अनम्यूट करके फिर आप बात कर सकते हैं, वो भी कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, तो अभी क्या क्या स्टूडेंट्स है मेरे पास, सीएससी का स्टूडेंट्स है, मैकेनिकल का स्टूडेंट है, ऑटोमोबाइल इंजीनियरिंग का स्टूडेंट है, और इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स और इलेक्ट्रिकल का मेजर स्टूडेंट्स है, फाइनल ईयर, सेकेंड ईयर एंड थर्ड ईयर। ठीक है, अच्छा, सो हमारा टाइटल क्या है, एम्बेडेड सिस्टम्स, आईओटी एंड एन इंडस्ट्री पर्सपेक्टिव। सो इसके पहले जाने के पहले हम लोग एक छोटा सा सिंपल क्वेश्चन है मेरे पास, वो क्या है। सो व्हेन आई वाज डूइंग बीटेक, when I was doing BTech long time back in 2003 2005, I used to think what is different in a typical engineering institute compared to an IIT. ठीक है, ये क्वेश्चन, ये सवाल है, what is the difference between an IIT institution and then a different and normal BTech college institute? What is the difference? Do you have answers? Anybody can simply answer. This is a very general question. Anybody want to answer? Can answer. You can unmute your mic and answer. आप mic को unmute करके बात कर सकते हैं।
Hello.
हाँ।
So may I audible?
Yes.
Good morning, sir.
Good
Sir,
morning.
according to me, IIT students has a passion to learn,
Okay.
and that's why they are there in IIT. And we all have a passion, but we neglect that.
अच्छा,
Means
okay.
we left time that I'll do. So that is the main thing.
Okay.
And second is teaching as well.
Okay.
Okay, sir. That's it, sir.
ठीक है, okay, very good. I'll give my answer at the last, but before that we'll get more responses. So किसी ने लिखा हुआ है lab and project work difference. Okay, okay, that's a good point. Any other responses? You can just unmute your mic and speak. आप हिंदी में भी बात कर सकते हैं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है। क्वेश्चन समझ आया? So what is the difference between studying in IIT and from an other institute? Because I had this question when I was doing my BTech. I did not do BTech from IIT. I did BTech from a different college. So I was actually thinking, what is happening in IIT? How is it different from others? Syllabus also different. Syllabus बिल्कुल different नहीं है। आप जो भी basics है वो basics पढ़ना है, वो सारे लोगों के लिए एक ही basics है। बेसिक्स बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है, इसलिए हम लोग भी बेसिक्स ही कवर करेंगे बीटेक क्लासेस में। ऑफ कोर्स एमटेक और पीएचडी में आपको सिलेबस डिफरेंट होगा, वो तो है, लेकिन फॉर नॉर्मल बैचलर्स इट इज नॉट द केस। एनीबडी वांट्स टू स्पीक, यू कैन स्पीक, यू कैन आल्सो अनम्यूट योर माइक एंड स्पीक सो दैट आई विल आल्सो अंडरस्टैंड दैट ओके पीपल आर देयर लिसनिंग टू मी। एनवायरनमेंट ऑफ स्टडी, ओके, फोकस प्रैक्टिकल नॉलेज रादर देन थियरी, ओके। कैंपस एनवायरनमेंट, बिल्कुल है, कैंपस एनवायरनमेंट एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है। Anybody wants to speak, you can unmute your mic and speak. Basic knowledge is given more in IITs, okay. Anybody wants to speak? Anybody wants to unmute your mic and speak? ठीक है, I got some idea. Okay, so I'll tell you what really happened. Okay, so I was doing a BTech competitive environment, वो तो सही है. I was doing BTech in a private, in a government institution in a place called Tamil Nadu. Okay, so I was always wanted to go and study in IIT, but I could not get admission in IIT at that time. Okay, so what happened is I managed to talk to one IIT professor. Okay, so that IIT professor, what he did is he basically, I asked him, so how is it different? What is different in IIT compared to what is happening in my regular institute? Okay, so syllabus तो same है, ठीक है, वो जो भी बीटेक में हम लोग पढ़ रहे हैं वो जो सारे सारे यूनिवर्सली सेम है, मोर और लेस सेम है. थोड़ा सा वेरिएशन होगा लेकिन मोर और लेस बेसिक्स तो हम लोग पढ़ना है, so more or less it's all same. Okay, so what is the major difference? So then he asked me one question. Okay, let's say your teacher is giving you one homework. तो आज ये असाइनमेंट करना है, आज ये होमवर्क करना है, करके कल आना है. This is what your sir or your teacher is telling you. So you are going home, you are trying to do the homework. Some people will do the homework and come back tomorrow. Some people will not do any homework. They'll simply come back. तो टीचर क्या करेंगे? टीचर पनिशमेंट दे देंगे. जो होमवर्क नहीं दिया है, जो होमवर्क नहीं किया है, वो लोग के लिए टीचर एक पनिशमेंट दे देंगे. क्या पनिशमेंट दे सकता है? कैन यू आंसर? क्या पनिशमेंट दे सकता है? So as a you are also studying in college, you would have also studied in schools. So आपका जो भी टीचर है, वो प्रोफेसर है, क्या पनिशमेंट दे रहे हैं आप लोग को?
हेलो,
यस
सर यदि सही टीचर होंगे तो वो सामने बैठाल कर उसको मतलब जितना होमवर्क दिए थे उसका दुगना होमवर्क देंगे और बोलेंगे करो.
अच्छा, तो आप
वो
इम्पोजिशन कर रहे हैं क्या?
उससे ज्यादा कर पाएंगे.
Okay, okay, so you are basically trying to say that we'll increase the homework load. Okay, standing last in the class. Oh wow. Okay, oh, very good point, very good answers are coming out. That's very nice. Keeping them out of class. Okay, increase material. Okay, okay, very good. Any other person wants to speak? You can unmute your mic and speak. Standing last in class, attendance. Okay, so you'll mark absent in attendance.
By decreasing the attendance.
By decreasing the attendance, okay. Okay, so you want to decrease the attendance. Standing outside of class in sunlight, okay. ज़्यादा मन लग सकता है, okay. Okay. Any other responses? Okay, good. I'll give the answer. So that professor told me, he told me that the difference is the next day if somebody threatening on decreasing the marks, okay, cut internal marks, okay, double homework, okay. These are interesting responses. So I'll tell you what that professor told me. Okay, very interesting. So the professor told me that the difference between what you do in a private institute, in a different institute and from IIT is the person who is not doing the homework, when he comes to the class next day, okay, the next day when he comes to the class, the teacher, what he will do is he will say that we will go to the expensive hotel in that city. तो अभी इंदौर में क्या है? इंदौर में सायाजी है, रेडिसन ब्लू है. भोपाल में क्या है मुझे नहीं पता है. Okay, so you go to the expensive hotel in your place, in your city. You have to take the entire class. If you don't do the homework, you have to take the entire class to the expensive hotel in the city, and you have to give them treat. You have to give them treat for everybody, the entire class. समझ आया? So say yes or no, at least in message. So the thing is, learning is always fun. Okay, that's the basic difference between an IIT and any other institute. And actually, there are many institutes which are following this. So the thing is, what that professor told me is, learning is always fun. Okay, learning has to be fun. Okay, so if let's say the person is asked to basically give a treat to all his friends in an expensive hotel, most probably that person will never stop doing this homework again, right? Okay, so we will also do something very similar. So here हमारा वो ये जो अभी क्लास हम लोग का अभी चल रहा है, आज से हम लोग फन एनवायरनमेंट में करेंगे और we want to have lots of exercises. Okay, आप लोग एक्सरसाइज नहीं करेंगे तो फिर हम लोगों का मजा नहीं आएगा, फिर then we will not be able to also understand the basics of some of these things that we teach here. Okay, so before I start the class, no, what I also want to understand is, so many people have registered for this class now. Now I want to understand what exactly you want from this course. It's a 3-day course, तो तीन दिन में हम लोग ज्यादा नहीं कर सकता है. जो भी एक सेमेस्टर में हो रहा है हम लोग 3 दिन में श्रिंक करके देना है. लेकिन आप लोगों का क्या क्या चाहिए, एटलीस्ट एक फ्रेमवर्क बना सकते हैं, सो दैट आई विल बेसिकली टॉक अबाउट दोज थिंग्स. आप लोग मैसेज कर सकते हैं, नहीं है तो आप लोग माइक अनम्यूट करके आप बात कर सकते हैं. यस,
Hello.
हाँ, यस रविकांत.
So I just want to know what is IoT in basic, and second thing is that I want to clear my view that I have to in which sector of IoT, because I know that in IoT lots of field.
Yes.
So in this webinar, so in this class, I expect that I have to clear my view that in where I have to go.
Okay.
And that is
talking about IoT.
what is
Okay,
benefit.
fine.
Yes, what is
Okay.
beneficial for me.
Okay. Do you have some basics of IoT?
Yes, sir.
You are doing some practical projects or something?
Yes, sir. I have done something, but I have little knowledge, so I have to grow up my knowledge.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Basics of embedded systems. Okay. Basic knowledge regarding our topics. Okay. Basic exposure to embedded systems and IoT that we can use in project work. Okay. Basics of IoT and embedded systems. Basic exposure of embedded systems and IoT. Okay. What is the change in construction system will be there? What should be helpful in this era? Okay. Okay, good. Okay. So let me introduce myself first. My name is Srivatsan. I'll give you my email ID. If you want to write something to me later on, then you can also write. Real world project using cloud. What should be helpful in this era? Okay, fine. Okay, so I'll introduce myself first. Okay, my name is Srivatsan. Okay, you can call me Srivatsan. Don't call me Dr. Vasudevan. That looks very formal. Okay. And I request your permission so that when I teach the class, I request you to allow me to teach in English. The thing is, I'm from Tamil Nadu. I can speak a little bit of Hindi after coming to Indore. But actually, if I start speaking in Hindi, most probably I will not understand what I'm trying to speak rather than before you guys understand. Okay. So that's the reason I want to speak in English, but then आप लोग हिंदी में बात कर सकते हैं, कोई problem नहीं है. ठीक है? Okay. Now what we will do is, there are people from different backgrounds here. There are some person from mechanical, some person from industrial engineering, and many people from ECE and electrical. So I have to actually give them some basics of computer systems, which I will start today. And then we will also look into how to look at microprocessors, microcontrollers, and how it evolved, and what is the advantage and disadvantage of microcontrollers and microprocessors. And then slowly we'll move on to some concepts of embedded systems. Okay. And my research area is biomedical instrumentation. So I work on biomedical instrumentation. My research is to basically make instruments that are useful for hospitals. Okay. There are many instruments which are available all over the world, which are very expensive. And that is the reason our hospitals will not be able to purchase those equipments. So we are interested in trying to find build small instruments using electronics and some optics, which is light, to basically help in biomedical instrumentation, helping the hospitals of the country to solve some of those problems. Okay. So based on that knowledge, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically talk about a little bit of digital systems, and then slowly take you to microprocessors, microcontrollers, and then slowly into embedded systems. And ultimately on the third day, we'll look into some applications of embedded systems and IoT. Okay. So which area of IoT you want to go? It is something a little specialized, which I'll cover it in the last day. Okay. That is what this Ravikant was asking me. So I will cover it, but I'll cover it on the last day. because I want to cover as many topics as possible so that the students will have a wide range of idea. Okay. Now, whatever I'm going to talk about is not something new. It is something available, like what Professor Chaubey sir was telling before. It is all available in the market. It is all available. If you Google it, you will get it. Okay. So then what is the difference between what is available in the internet or what is available in the books and what I'm going to teach? Okay. The only difference is आप लोग मेरे साथ assignments या homework या जो भी मैं करने के लिए मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, you also have to follow and do it along with me. If you don't do it, then ये जो भी ये 3 दिन है वो भूल जाएगा बस. But लेकिन if you want to ये 3 दिन का फायदा उठाना है, then what you have to do is you have to also start doing assignments, problems along with me. So we'll give some real time exercises over a period of time. ठीक है? How many of you guys have some Arduino board or any microcontroller board with you? Right now in your house, how many of you have some Arduino or microcontroller board with you? You can type it, or if you want, I can unmute and speak also. Don't have, okay. Okay. So most of the people don't have any microcontroller board with you. Okay, fine, no problem. Okay. So what I will do is my exercises will be such that we will learn how to read data sheet. Okay. जो आप लोग प्रोजेक्ट्स कर रहे हो, माइक्रोकंट्रोलर्स या IoT या जो भी प्रोजेक्ट्स आप लोग कर रहे हैं, projects people basically simply do it by doing a programming in your interface. For example, if you use Arduino, then people use Arduino IDE, and then using that they basically try to program it. Okay, ये normal programming होता है. But what is more important, or what the industry wants, is somebody who has some knowledge about electronics, and somebody who can take up a new board or a new microcontroller, and then you can basically start doing an application immediately by learning things from the data sheet. ठीक है? So हम लोग क्या करेंगे, हम लोग थोड़ा सा कंप्यूटर सिस्टम्स का ओवरव्यू दे देंगे, और ओवरव्यू के बाद हम लोग थोड़ा सा माइक्रो प्रोसेसर्स, माइक्रो कंट्रोलर्स का फंडामेंटल्स दे देंगे. इसके बाद हम लोग छोटा सा एक्सरसाइज करेंगे. Okay, after doing such an exercise, then we'll slowly move on to embedded systems, IoT, and I'll also focus on an electronic board called FPGA, Field Programmable Gate Array. Okay, it's called FPGA. I hope some people would have learned this. I'll give you a small overview of FPGA as well. Okay, so globally, if you see, at least in India, well, let's talk about India. So India, if you see, at one point of time, like almost like 20 years down the line, 20 years before, if you see, we had lots of companies who started softwares. So there was a service industry where people started looking into using several softwares and then doing servicing and doing applications. So there was a software boom in India 20 years back. Now the next boom, if I would say in my personal opinion, the next boom is going to be embedded systems and IoT. Okay, IoT is now started practicing in several industries, but it is more on the preliminary stage. It's more on the stage where they are trying to test whether their systems will work or not. ठीक है, हम लोग क्या करेंगे, इसका जो भी इंडस्ट्री का जो भी requirements है, वो भी हम लोग in the middle of the talk I'll basically say all those things. ठीक है, so that you'll get some idea of what are all the requirements of industry. Because there are 3-4 of my students, BTech student and 2 of my MTech students, they have actually gone into some very good companies in Hyderabad and Bangalore. Okay, so by learning FPGA, by learning embedded systems, and they are working on very good projects now. Okay, so we will cover a little bit of several things, and then I'll give you something like a roadmap. Okay, तीसरा दिन में हम लोग एक रोड मैप बना देंगे. आपको ये टॉपिक में इंटरेस्टेड है, ये टॉपिक में इंडस्ट्री जाना है, सो इसका क्या क्या लर्न करना है, क्या प्रोसीड करना है, ये सारे हम लोग एक ओवरव्यू दे देंगे तीसरा दिन में. ठीक है, इज दिस ओके, इज दिस फाइन विद एवरीबॉडी? You can type and tell me if it is okay, or if you want some extra information, you can type and tell me. Okay, ठीक है. Yes sir, आ गया. ठीक है. Okay, good. Okay. So now we'll start with some basics of computer systems, which because most of you electrical and electronics people would know this, but there are some people who are from mechanical and this thing. So I'll do this. So what I'm trying to do now is I'm going to share my screen. Okay. So आप लोग एक whiteboard देख रहा है ना? देख रहे हैं ना? ठीक है. ठीक है. So what we will do is we'll talk about computers. Okay. The first thing what we're going to do is we're going to talk about computers. Okay, we'll talk about computers long time back, 1940s, 1950s, and 1960s. Okay, so at that time what happened, the concept of computing came into picture. Okay, so people wanted to compute. So what they want to compute, the first thing that came into picture is calculate. So now what we do is we use calculators everywhere, right? So people wanted to basically have some machine. People want, I'll give you time to take notes, don't worry, please listen. Okay, you can close your papers, close your pens. All these are available in the internet. I'm not giving you something new. And we will also discuss, I'll give you time, once in 10 minutes, I'll give you a break of 5 minutes where you can take notes. And you can also ask your questions. Okay. So people wanted, what they want to do is, scientists and engineers, they wanted to basically make some machine which can help in calculating things. Okay, that was a starting point. They want some machine to calculate. For example, I want to do 2 plus 3, 5 plus 6, 25 into 84. So all these things I want some machine to basically calculate. Okay. So electronics came into picture at that time only, electronics. So what is electronics? Electronics came with the birth of diodes and transistors. I won't go into the details of all these things because electronics is a completely different subject. But then it started with diodes, BJT, FET. So all these diode is a diode, but then all these are transistors. So these transistors people started using in integrated circuits, or what we call it IC. Okay, IC. So it started with ICs. Okay. So with ICs, people started looking at, can we make machines using these ICs? Okay. So this came up with the concept of digital systems. Okay. So what we are trying to do now is, so पहले 1940, 1950 में क्या होता था? people के पास एक अर्ज होता था. क्या अर्ज है? हम लोग एक मशीन बनाना है. क्या मशीन बनाना है? कैलकुलेटिंग मशीन बनाना है. They want to make a calculator. वो नाम तो बाद में आएगा, but actually they want to make a calculator. They want some machine which can basically calculate things. Okay, so they wanted to basically make a machine to calculate things. At that time, electronics also started evolving, and people wanted to use electronics to basically build machine that can do calculations. So ये digital systems का first step है. Okay, so when digital systems evolved over a period of time, then people realized that, so instead of calculating one single this thing, so in a calculator what happens, I will simply type 2 plus 3 is equal to, then the result will come. Then I'll type the next instruction. So ये एक instruction मान लेंगे. So this is called an instruction. Let's say instruction. This is called one instruction. Okay, this is called one instruction. So in a typical calculator, what happens? The user gives one instruction at a time. He gives one instruction. Then once he gets the results, then he'll go into the next instruction. Then he'll go into the next instruction. Okay? So then this is what a calculator is all about. Then people started looking, can we make a computing machine? Computing machine. So what is a computing machine? Instead of having one instruction at a time, I want to give series of instructions. Okay, so I want to give series of instructions. I0, I1, I2, I3, I4, I4. Okay, I want to give series of instructions. I want this computing machine to execute all these instructions. Okay, ठीक है. So ये सारे instructions execute करना है. लेकिन कैसे execute करना है? Sequentially execute करना है. But what is the difference between ये instruction और calculator का instruction में क्या difference है? Calculator में user एक एक instruction दे रहा है. लेकिन यहाँ पे हम लोग एक बल्क से एक इंस्ट्रक्शन दे रहे हैं और ये कंप्यूटिंग मशीन ये इंस्ट्रक्शन लेके फिर एक इंस्ट्रक्शन करके फिर अल्टीमेटली सारे इंस्ट्रक्शंस खत्म करना है, ठीक है। सो दिस मशीन विल टेक I0 फर्स्ट, it will execute. Once it executes, the output of it will be stored somewhere. Then it will go back and then it will jump to the next instruction. Then it will take the next instruction I1. Then it will execute this. Then it will store the results. Then it will go to the I2 like this, like in, and so on. It will go. Okay. 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 Now I'll stop here. If anybody wants to take notes, you can take notes. I'll give you some 2-3 minutes. If anybody has questions, you can, if you type, I will not be able to see it. So you have to unmute your mic and speak. Okay. If I'm going fast, if I'm going slow, आपको आप लोगों का समझ नहीं आ रहा है, आप बात कर सकते हैं मुझे. At least you tell me, and you can take notes if you want to take notes before I clear this board now. You can unmute your mic and speak. You can take notes. Any questions you want to ask, you can unmute your mic and speak.
Hello.
हाँ Ravikant, tell me.
Sir, what is the importance of computer network in IoT?
See,
Hello.
IoT means what? Internet of Things.
Yes.
Okay. So what you're going to do is you are going to have applications where internet comes into picture. Okay. Okay. So for all these things, you need to have network fundamentals. If you don't have computer network knowledge, then what kind of protocol you want to use in order to basically send data, what protocol you want to use to receive data, all these things will be a problem. I'll give you one simple example. Okay. So let's say we take an agricultural example. Okay. So now what is happening is in India, the problem is water is a major problem. Okay. Water becomes a major problem in India. So the thing is we want to optimize the use of water for irrigation. Okay. Agriculture mein, if you want to use water for irrigation, you have to optimize the water. I cannot excessively use water because water is a problem for us. Now, how do we do that? The way to do it is to basically have soil moisture sensors in every field. Okay. But when you want to use these soil moisture sensors, the data has to be collected to a server. And that is the basic concept of IoT. How will I send data to a server? So I have to use networking for doing that. And that way I will have to learn network fundamentals in order to use IoT. Okay.
Sir. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Discuss IoT in the third day. So then you'll get to know much better. What are all the different components of IoT? All these things we'll discuss in the third day. Any other questions? Am I going fast? Am I going slow? Please tell me so that I'll correct it myself. और कोई क्वेश्चंस नहीं है? Okay. How are the sensors manufactured? Okay. See, these are all integrated circuits. Okay. If you come to any electronics application, then all these electronic sensors are integrated circuits. So what they do is there is a concept of IC technology. Okay. They use some fabrication techniques in order to basically make millions of transistors into a small device. And through that millions of transistors, you can make sure that the device will basically start looking at two important concepts. One is current, the other is voltage. So there is current controlled sensor, there is voltage controlled sensor. Okay. So you can basically take some value of some sensor. For example, there is a temperature. Okay. So I want to monitor the temperature. So it's a temperature sensor. LM35 is a temperature sensor. So how it works, it will basically sense the temperature by you can use some kind of metal interface or something, and when the metal gets heated up, automatically you can basically connect it to a thermocouple or something to convert them into voltage or current. So that is a concept with which sensors are working. Okay, so it basically sensors convert the whole sensing value into another form, which is in terms of voltage or current. Okay, so the whole thing has to be manufactured in a IC fabrication facility. Okay, so you can basically look at what are all the fabrication techniques available. Based on the fabrication techniques, you will get some idea. But all these fabrication facilities are very expensive, so you need to go to a lab which basically has these kind of fabrication facilities to fabricate a sensor. Okay, so the concept of VLSI, ASIC, application specific integrated circuits. The concept of ASIC basically is to design something in the software and then send it to a fabrication facility in order to fabricate it. So is there any disadvantages of IoT? See, every technique that you take will have lots of advantages, will have lots of disadvantages. One major disadvantage that we have with IoT is security. For example, I want to switch on my ACs with, using my mobile phone, using my smartphone. My smartphone is, I'm sitting somewhere in my office. I'm actually on the way in car coming back to my house. So I want to switch on my AC so that my house becomes cool when I enter my house. So then I can use my mobile to basically switch on. That's IoT concept. But the thing is, if my mobile gets lost, or if somebody can tap my mobile, then automatically then there's a security breach. Somebody can switch on and switch off my AC without my knowledge. So IoT has lots of advantages, but at the same time, security becomes one major disadvantage with respect to IoT. But people are working on different ways of overcoming that disadvantage also. So they are trying to build more security algorithms to basically do this. Okay, so we'll continue. So am I going fast? Am I going slow? You guys are understanding me or not? Okay, no response. Okay, I assume that you guys are understanding. So I'll move on to the next step. Okay. Okay. So I'll move on to the next page. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, so we understood, okay, so there is an urge for basically making a computing machine, and people want to start making computing machine. Okay. So the concept of computing machine came into picture in very early 1950s when integrated circuits started coming into picture. Okay. So then people started looking at, can we make a machine or can we make something which can basically do a computing job? Compute. Okay, so can we make a computing job? Can we make something that can basically help us to compute lots of things? Okay, so then this came into picture in the name of two important sub modules. One is called ALU, arithmetic logic unit. The other is called control unit. Okay, this is called arithmetic logic unit. I think many of you guys will know this. I'm just giving this as an introduction so that somebody who's from mechanical or something will not feel bad that suddenly nothing I understand. Okay. Okay. So they want to basically make arithmetic logic units and control units, and then they want to use this to basically do lots of computation. Okay. We will understand architecture and all these things a little later, but the concept is to basically use electronics or digital systems. Okay, so I want to use electronics or digital systems to actually make computing. Okay, so I want to use this to make a computing hardware. Okay, so this gave birth to two different families. One is called a microprocessor. Okay, usually called MUPI. The other is called microcontroller, usually called MUSI. Okay, so we have two different concepts now. One is called microcontroller, the other is called microprocessor. Okay. So what is the difference between microprocessor and microcontroller? Microprocessor contains all the computing machines. The MUPI will have everything that contains the computing, ALU, CU, and some registers. Okay. And then it will not have the memory. So you have to attach memory outside, and then you have to attach your IO devices outside. Okay. But in a microcontroller, what happens? It gives you the same concept of microprocessor, but then it will have memory inside. It will have some basic IO features, and it has some GPIOs, which you can connect it to outside. Okay. We will understand all these things in detail a little later. Okay. Or if you want to read, you can also go back to books and you can basically read. I think many students have understood this. Okay. So now what I want to do is, I want to basically give you something like a we'll do something like this. Okay. So I want to broadly classify this entire concept of computing into two different domains. Okay. It's broadly classified. There are places where one person will come here, one person will go there, and all this. Okay. So many who are all interested in using these computing machines. Okay. So this computing machines came into picture. This is coming from electronics, and it has ALU, CU, and some memory. Okay. So computing machines, who wants to use these machines? Okay. There are two different category of users. Okay. So one user is called, let's say CS. The other user is called electrical or electronics and communication or whatever. Okay. So let's say we have two different things. So what this guy is interested, this guy is interested in getting a general purpose machine. Okay. He wants a general purpose machine. Okay. So it is something similar to a laptop or a computer that we have right now. Okay. So the computer is manufactured not for one single purpose. It is manufactured as a general purpose. Okay. Somebody who wants to run YouTube, he wants to run some simulations in MATLAB, somebody who wants to write some electronics, anybody can buy a computer and use it. So it's a general purpose machine. Okay. The main applications of this will be database. Okay. So I need some ways of storing something in a memory, use it, compute something. So I'll be using this for computations. I don't have any specific application. Each and every person can buy this machine and then use it for their own specific applications, right? Okay. So this is a concept of okay. This is a concept of a computer science person who is looking at it. Again, I'm broadly classifying it. There can be applications where somebody wants to come over here, somebody wants to come from here to here. Okay. So, and then when it comes to electronics or electrical engineering person, that person will be mainly interested in control applications. Okay. So that's how the whole concept of computation is divided into two things. One is called control applications. So what do you mean by control application? I want something to be done on a real time. Okay. So what do you mean by real time? So for example, if let's say I take a simulation in MATLAB, okay, I want to basically simulate a sinusoidal wave. Okay. The sinusoidal wave takes 3 seconds to basically come. Okay. Then will the MATLAB exactly take 3 seconds? It will take more time. Okay. If we are going to talk about something in terms of milliseconds or microseconds, then it is the MATLAB, it will take its own time. It will not be able to do it in milliseconds or micro time. Okay. But what do you mean by real time? In real time, what we mean is that we mean that the system responds in the same instant of time. Okay. So I want a sinusoidal wave that is basically going on in, let's say, 10 microseconds. So one cycle, let's say, is 10 microseconds. Then this real time means it should generate the sinusoidal wave in exactly 10 microseconds. Okay. So your machine has to be so fast so that it can basically generate in terms of 10 microseconds. Okay. So somebody who is working on control applications will be more interested to know what is inside the hardware. The hardware is the electronics that we are talking about. Let's say I put electronics. Okay. So somebody who is working on control applications or these kind of real-time applications will be very much interested to look at what is the hardware inside and how the hardware is organized. And how can I tap the maximum amount of hardware? These are all of no interest to this computer science person who is going to use it just as a memory and this thing. If my computer is slow, I'll simply go buy some extra RAM, put some RAM. I'll buy some hard disk space and put that, and then see if I can upgrade my processor. But here in this case, I will try to understand what this processor is all about, how it is actually working, and what is the architecture behind the hardware, and how it is all organized. All these things are important for a control application because he wants something to be done in real time. Okay, so I'll give you some very simple example. Okay, so हम लोग क्लास में बैठते हैं, हम लोग क्लास में एक फायर अलार्म है, फॉर एग्जांपल देयर इज अ फायर अलार्म. ओके, so suddenly वो आग लगा हुआ है. If there is fire suddenly, what will happen? This fire alarm will basically have two things. It will have a sensor. The sensor will detect the smoke or the fire, and then it will communicate this to the computing machine or the processor. Okay, it will communicate to the processor. The processor will immediately respond by either giving an alarm, or it can trigger some circuit which can basically give basically throw some water. Okay, so all these things, how much time it has to be done? If let's say the fire alarm is the fire sensor is basically giving it to the microcontroller at 0th second. Okay, then if let's say this alarm is basically coming out after 3 minutes, will this be good? Definitely no. Okay, nobody will be happy in having a sensor which will basically respond after 3 minutes. Okay, so then this real time becomes important. It has to be responding within a short period of time, and that short period of time should be in terms of microseconds or to the maximum of milliseconds. So this is the basic concept of embedded systems. Okay, so I'm stopping again here. If you want to take notes, you can take notes. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Any questions you guys have? Any questions? आप लोग unmute करके बात कर सकते हैं. See, until unless you interact with me, I will not be able to understand whether I'm going in the right direction, whether you guys are understanding, you want more information, you want less information. I will not be able to understand until unless you guys talk to me. So either unmute your mic and speak to me, or you can also type in the message box here. So what are the basic knowledge that we want to understand in order to go in this field? वो हम लोग ये इस 3 दिन में हम लोग ये कवर करेंगे. जो भी basic knowledge चाहिए, basics जो भी basics चाहिए, we'll definitely cover it in this 3 days in an overview manner. And then rest I'll leave it to you guys to basically learn, and you can get in touch with me if you want to do any projects. Any other questions? आप unmute करके बात कर सकते हैं. वो माइक अनम्यूट करके बात कर सकते हैं. Share industry case study with us. I'll do it. I will not be able to do it today because I haven't to cover some basics today, but I'll definitely do it tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Any other questions? Yes. Unmute करके बात कर सकते हैं. Questions नहीं है? So can we proceed? Can we go ahead? Yeah. Tell me. Hello.
Hello.
Huh.
Yes. We request all the participants, if you have any queries or doubts, so please unmute yourself and ask the question. Audience, can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. Sir, please continue.
नहीं, आप लोग इंटरेक्ट नहीं करेंगे तो फिर हम लोग प्रोसीड नहीं कर सकते हैं, ठीक है? Because until unless we interact, no, I will not understand whether you guys understood, whether you want something more information, all these things. ठीक है?
Good morning, sir.
Yes, tell me.
I am audible.
Yeah.
So my question is, what is the difference between wireless sensor network and IoT network?
See, difference in the sense that whether you want to basically use a separate network cloud with a separate frequency, then you can keep it for IoT. Okay. There is not much of difference in terms of fundamentals. Concept is the same. But then you want to use it for some specific frequency bands, you can use it. For example,
Yes.
Army uses some specific frequency for their own communications. So similarly, you can use IoT with some specific frequency band, which is specifically for those things. But other than that, fundamentals are same.
Yes, sir.
So is there any IoT practices happening in India? There are many industries who have started actually IoT testings. I can also give you some case studies. Today I will not do it. Tomorrow I'll do it. ठीक है? हम लोग continue कर सकते हैं? I'll share the screen now. ठीक है? I'll move on to the next. Okay. Okay. Now what we have seen is, we have seen microprocessors, we looked at computing machine, and then now we have also looked into why this becomes very important. Okay. Now I'll come to the main part. Okay. Okay. So now we need to look at what is real time. We looked at it. So now we'll understand what is really happening in a computing machine. Okay. So when it starts with the computing machine, okay, so we have this CPU, central processing unit, which contains ALU plus control unit. Okay. On top of it, okay, on top of it, now what we want to do is people try to use some kind of software so that we can access this CPU. So the basic software which people use is assembly language. Assembly language. And then the problem with assembly language is very difficult, is very tough, because it uses hexadecimal numbers. Okay. So then people went into something a little more further. Let's say we call it C language. Okay. And then the thing is, now if you want to write something in C, then I have to have some kind of compiler that compiles it back into assembly language. Okay. Once that is over, then my job is to basically bring it back from assembly to CPU, which is in binary language. Okay. Okay. Now what is the now what is the more, then people started realizing that somebody who has no knowledge about C language or any of this assembly language will not be able to access this computing machine. So people started building things on top of it. Okay. So they built something like operating system, and then on top of the operating system they had different software applications. And something like this. Okay. So the more you go further from the center to the outside, the thing is your system, whatever you're trying to do here, will be very slow and it will not be able to do something real time. But when you go very close to the CPU or ALU, you will be able to do something real time. Okay. So that is the basic difference between a real time and doing it somewhere outside. So a typical normal general computing machine or a computer that you use or a laptop that you use will not be able to do something real time like this. Okay. So that's the basic difference now. Okay. So now what we have understood now is we have understood what is the difference between real time, what is the difference between real time and a general computing machine where it is not a real time. Okay. So now what we want to do today now is today I'll give you some simple examples that we want to build, and then we will see how it is going to help us to do this. Okay. So we'll take an example of a simple temperature monitor building system. Temperature monitoring system. Okay. So let's say I have a classroom. Okay. I have a classroom. So there are different desks. There's one whiteboard here. And then there are different desks. Okay. Now people want to basically, people are sitting here, and then we want to somehow monitor the temperature here. So I want to place temperature sensors at different places. Okay. So I have the temperature sensor at different locations now. Okay. Now what I want to do is I have ACs. I have air conditioning units also at different places. Okay. So what I want to do is my question is based on the temperature. Now I want to change the temperature setting in my AC. Okay. So this is one problem. Okay. But problem is I want to take a temperature monitoring system. Okay. And then where I'm going to take some temperature sensors kept at different places. And then I want to basically take some ACs. And then with those ACs, I want to change the temperature setting of the AC. Now let's say it is winter. So abhi ye garmi mein ye kaam hota hai. Now if let's say we are going into winter. Winter mein kya hota hai? I want to have heater. So based on the temperature, the heater has to be on or off. So एक case study है. Okay, case study 1. Okay, ये काम हो गया. Okay, second case study, second application. Okay, what is my second application? My second application is I'm going to take a automatic street light control. Okay, so I have some street lights. There's a road. I have some street lights. Okay, so I have some street lights. What I want to do is I want to automatically control them. Okay, because now if you see, there is some person who has to go switch on the street light every day in the evening, and then every day in the morning he has to come and switch it off. Now I want to make this automatic. So can we make this automatic? Yes, it's possible. How will I make it automatic? So I have to check whether sunlight is there or not. So if sunlight is not there, then I'll switch on these lights. Okay. If let's say there is because of rain, that is because of clouds, light is not there, sunlight is not there, then what will I do? Will I switch on or not? I should not switch on. Okay. So what is the problem here? Okay. Let's say I want, this is my street light. My street light is here. It's on a pole. Okay. The street light is here. It's on a pole. Now I'll basically place some electronics here. Okay. I'll place some electronics here. Using this electronics, you are trying to basically see how to switch on and switch off this light. Okay. Now the problem is, where is this electronics placed? This electronics is placed in a small container very close to the light. Now will this electronics have some change in temperature? Because if it is summer, Bhopal Indore mein easily 40 degree hota hai. So 40 degrees to 45 degrees mein अंदर जो भी इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स है वो सेफ है क्या? Will this electronics perform the same manner as what we are supposed to perform? All these things we have to see. Okay, so we'll take these two applications and see how to use electronics, then look at embedded, and then I will leave it to you as a homework for doing IoT. Okay, ये दो applications हम लोग ले लेंगे, ठीक है? Okay, fine. So any questions you guys have?
Hello.
Yes.
So whatever we are making an IoT project in school, college field, in college. So how can we apply it in a daily routine? Means if I want to apply it in my house, so how can I apply? Because that is a project. So project में तो सर वो छोटे उसमें एरिया में काम करेगा, बट जब अपन घर में यूज करेंगे किसी चीज को तो वो ज्यादा उसमें चाहिए. जैसे आपने अभी स्ट्रीट लाइट का बताया, तो इसको यदि मैं कहीं करना चाहूंगा, अब घर में अपने करना चाहूंगा, तो उसके लिए अलग ही टेक्निक चाहिए होगी आई थिंक. क्योंकि अपन जो उसमें करते हैं, बनाते हैं प्रोजेक्ट, तो उसमें तो एरिया डिसाइड रहता है कि इतने एरिया, मतलब कुछ मीटर के अंदर में इतने एरिया पे एलईडी, मतलब वो पोटेंशियोमीटर जो अपना सॉरी एलडीआर जो होता है, वो इतने एरिया की ही लाइट ले पाएगा, उससे ज्यादा की नहीं. तो उसको कैसे बढ़ाएंगे सर? क्योंकि उसको अगर डेली रूटीन में करेंगे, तो डेली लाइफ में अपने घर में यूज करेंगे.
Your question is very important. The reason is many students do several IoT projects, several embedded system projects, and they know many of the things that I am teaching. ठीक है? Problem क्या होता है? How do I take it to the industry level or take it to the market? For example, your question is how do I take it to the house? ठीक है? वो सही question है. The problem is that is where we have to start thinking. People don't basically think and understand what I have to do once I know the basics of it. For example, if let's say my house is going to be having 5 rooms, then एक छोटा सा हम लोग एक light का monitoring करना है, then how will I do it? I'll have to place LDRs at different places. ठीक है? ये एक question, एक solution है. So if I have to place it at different places, which place I have to monitor at what time? Okay, this is one option. The other option is if let's say I want to use some microcontrollers. Okay, so try to access the time at which, what is the time that is there right now. For example, now time is 10 o'clock. It will not keep any lights on. It will keep all the lights off. Okay. In addition to that, you can have some priority with respect to having one this thing. For example, let's say I have one LDR also. So suddenly if it is 10 o'clock, but still the light is not sufficient enough inside the room, then I have to prioritize and do this. So you have to do programming in a small microcontroller to do all these things. Now, how do I take this to my house? So for taking this to my house, I have to use some battery operated this thing. So I'll show you some batteries also. Tomorrow I'll show you. I don't have everything right now. I'll show you some batteries which can be automatically charged, which can automatically be able to connect it also. Okay. Does it answer the question?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
So हम लोग अभी माइक्रो कंट्रोलर का बेसिक्स के अंदर जाना है, आर्किटेक्चर के अंदर जाना है, नहीं जाना है? If most of you know architectures, then I'll move on to the next step where we'll build on one processor. Then I'll come to these applications tomorrow. You guys type or you guys tell me, unmute and tell me. Okay, basics along with architecture. Okay. Any other response? So you want to learn the architecture. Okay. So I think you guys would have learned architecture in your 8085 microprocessor if you would have learned 8085 microprocessor. Okay. Anyway, I'll move on to showing what is microprocessor, what is microcontroller, how it basically evolved. Then we'll try to look at architecture. Okay. Okay. So I'll move on to the next page. Okay. So what happened is when this evolution of computing machines started coming into picture, then microprocessors and microcontrollers started evolving. Okay. So if you want to see this entire thing, no, there is there is something called bus, which is a stream of wires, which is your communication. Okay, and then what you have, you had CPU, and then you had memory, and then ultimately you have IO devices. So what is IO devices? Input output devices. So you have a computing machine, central processing unit, which is going to basically do the computing, and you have memory, which is where you're going to store data, store program. Your program is also stored in memory, and ultimately you have IO devices. In the case of IO devices, you can have some keyboard. For example, keyboard becomes an input device, mouse, monitor, all these things come into picture. So these are all the general computing machine. At the same time, the same concept will also be used for a microcontroller or a microprocessor. Okay. So when the whole thing real-time embedded systems evolved, what first started is, okay. So when it started, first it started with 8085 microprocessor, which many of you guys would have learned. So Intel basically manufactured this microprocessor. Okay. So it's an 8085 microprocessor. It's an 8-bit processor. So how many instructions you have? I think you have close to 255 instructions, I think. Okay. So it basically contains 255 instructions. So you can use these 255 instructions to do whatever you want. I'll want to remind you, multiplier is not part of this instruction. Divider is not part of this instruction. Okay. So if I want to give an instruction, you want to give some instruction called 3 into 5. Then how it works, this 8085, how it works, it will basically add 3 5 times. Okay, it will not basically, it doesn't have a multiplier option. Okay, the basic 8085. Okay, the 8085 processor is an 8-bit processor. And what do you mean by 8-bit processor? We call this as a resolution. So at any instant of time, if let's say I want to get 2 numbers, then this number can be 8 bits and this number can be 8 bits. That is the meaning of resolution. And the output will also be in 8 bits. And that is called resolution. Okay. So there is one, resolution is something which is important. So when the year started evolving, when the research on microprocessors and microcontrollers started evolving, what happened is people moved from 8 bits, then 16 bits, 32 bits, and ultimately 64 bits. Okay. So if you have a recent computer or a laptop, you would have noticed that you are installing 64-bit Windows. Previously, people used to install 32-bit Windows. Now they have moved to 64-bit Windows. So what do you mean by that? You have a CPU, you have a processor or a microcontroller inside, which works with a resolution of 64 bits. So what do you mean by 64 bits? Every calculation can have 64 bits by 64 bits resolution. Okay. So this is one thing that is going on over a period of time. And at the same time, memory is also playing a role. Previously, memory was very sparse. The memory that we have was both chota memory tha. लेकिन अभी MBs में memory मिल रहा है. Okay. So memory, again, you can divide this into 2 different types of memories. One memory is called RAM, ROM, which are actually high-speed memories, high-speed compact memories. Compact memories, because they are very small and they are very high speed. That's why they are usually in terms of MBs. Okay. The other one is also called a memory, which now people call it as storage. Storage is your pen drive, then your hard disk. Okay. All these are in GBs. Okay. These are not compact. These are not very small. These are all large, you know, these are large. So, and then it will be very slow. These won't be so fast as what the RAM and ROM are used. Okay, so the RAM and ROM are used very close to the CPU so that it can basically use for several elements of this thing. Okay, so now we will move on to the next step where I want to basically get into the architecture of a processor. Okay, and before that, let's finish microcontrollers. Okay, so what is the difference between processor and microcontroller? Microcontroller, what happened? Microcontroller, people basically started having processor plus memory plus other IO peripherals. Okay, so slowly when you go into the timeline, okay, so people started manufacturing microprocessors. 8 bits started, then 16 bits came, then 32 bits came, and 64 bits came, and similarly microcontrollers also started evolving around the same time. Okay, MUSI started microcontroller. Again, this was in 8 bits. So then 16 bits. So I think many people would have learned or would have been heard about this 8051 microcontroller, which is still used in teaching academic. In academics, it's still used. And then there are several companies which basically started manufacturing these kind of microcontrollers. One company which is very famous is Atmel. Then there is Motorola. Intel is still manufacturing, and there are several other companies like this. Okay, PIC, which is microchip, which is a very famous company. There is NXP. Okay, like this, there are several other companies also which are manufacturing these microcontrollers. So microcontrollers again gave with 8 bits, 16 bits, then they went into 32 bits, then they went into 64 bits. Okay, and ultimately when you go for 32 bits and 64 bits, all the thing is, in addition, memory was also increasing over a period of time. So all these are actually real-time microcontrollers. Those are all real-time microcontrollers. Okay. So what do you mean by real-time? We have explained what is real-time a little earlier. Okay. Now I'll move on to the next step. Now, when these microcontrollers started evolving, people started using it for different control applications. Okay. I'll give you some simple applications that you have already seen. Okay. In our TV remote, we have a microcontroller inside. So we have an embedded system. We have an embedded system inside our TV remote. Our TV has several embedded systems. Okay. Okay, this is one example. You take your motorbike. You take your Yamaha, Honda Activa, or any of your bikes. If you take, these bikes also have a small embedded system inside. Okay, it also has one embedded system inside. Okay, and similarly, I take my microwave, I can take my washing machine, I can take my fridge, refrigerator. All these have several embedded systems with us, and these embedded systems are the ones which are actually monitoring and controlling the entire device continuously. For example, if you take a washing machine, what is the level of water? It has to be checked. Water level has to be checked. Okay, so this is one concept. Then they have to see whether wash is going on. If wash is going on, after wash, then I have to do spin. I have to do rinse, and ultimately I have to do spin, and ultimately I have to stop. So what if power goes off in the middle? What if electricity goes off in the middle? Then automatically you have to start from where you leave. So all these things have to be kept in the memory. So like these, we have several embedded applications in different places. Okay. So अभी हम लोग जो बात कर रहे हैं अभी microcontroller से बात कर रहे हैं. Okay. So when all these applications started coming into picture, TV हो गया, बहुत सारे electronic applications आ गया. तो ये आने के बाद क्या हो गया, एक बहुत important area develop हो गया. Embedded systems में we have got one important area called signal processing. Signal processing आप लोग बहुत सुना होगा. This is basically done using MATLAB, but actually this signal processing is also embedded into electronics. Okay, it's also embedded into electronics. Okay, so the signal processing became very popular. One simple example of this is called a fingerprint reader. Okay, we have a fingerprint reader. So what is a fingerprint reader? So I have to place my finger on this reader, and then based on my placing, then it will check the database whether this person has been entered as a user or not. Then the door will open. Otherwise, the door will not open. Okay. Another example that we want to see is image processing is signal processing is data acquisition systems. These are all industry-based. These are all industry-based applications. Okay, so we look into some of these applications also in this process. Okay, so when people started looking at signal processing and all these things, then they have to use several signal processing algorithms. Some signal processing algorithms are Fourier transform, FFT, DFT, all these things. Okay, so when you want to use all these signal processing algorithms, so then naturally what we do is then people started manufacturing something called DSPs, digital signal processors. Okay, it's called DSPs, or some people they call it DSCs. They are digital signal controllers. Okay. So what we are going to do now is actually we are looking at some specialized processors. So these are also microcontrollers, but what is the difference is, the difference is some of these Fourier transform, FFTs, DFTs, all these are embedded here as some hardware interface. They call DSP slices. Okay, so you can use those slices in order to do Fourier transform. Okay, for example, otherwise what will happen if I take my own microcontroller, then I have to basically write my own code for basically doing a Fourier transform. Now somebody has already made a code and kept it. I'll simply use it, and that's, in that way I can make the signal processing applications much more faster, because it already has some codes which are available. The codes can be available on the software mode. The codes can be available as a hardware mode also. It can be also as embedded as a hardware. Okay. So this concept of DSPs came into picture. This is called digital signal processors. Okay. So once this digital signal processors came, then many applications with respect to signal processing and image processing came into picture. Okay. Then what happened? Then slowly people realized that somebody who is going to use my microcontroller or a microprocessor, what that person will do, that person will basically buy one microcontroller. I'll give you some examples. So let's say I want to basically buy one microcontroller for doing some specific application. Okay, some application I want to say. So what I do is I want to go to a Arduino microcontroller. Okay, so Arduino microcontroller, let's say I go for Arduino Uno. Just I'm taking one example. Okay, in Arduino Uno, so what is the chip that I have? I have a 16 megahertz 8-bit Atmel chip, right? So what do you mean by this? So this is the clock frequency. This is the speed at which the microcontroller works. This is the resolution at which the microcontroller works. This is the manufacturer of this. I think it's the name of it is called Atmega. Atmega 328. Okay. So Atmega 328 is the Atmel microcontroller that we have, and this is there in Arduino Uno. So how much of memory you have? Let's say it contains 8 MB of memory. Okay. Now I want to build a fingerprint reader. So when I want to do a fingerprint reader, what I will do? I will basically try to place my finger in that fingerprint reader, and then it has to basically go and search in the database. Okay. Already the users are available in the database. The database will be stored in the memory. Okay, the database will be stored in the memory, and based on the memory, I will try to find out what is going to be the fingerprint. If the fingerprint matches, then the door will be switched on. I mean, the door will be open so that the user can go in. Okay, so this is the application that I want to make. If let's say my database is huge and then this 8 MB space is not sufficient for me, what will I do? I cannot go and buy another memory and put it. Okay, the problem is these boards are readily available. So then what I have to do is I have to go buy a new microcontroller board. I have to go buy a new microcontroller board. So instead of using Arduino Uno, I'll go for, let's say, Arduino Mega. Okay, which has a very high 32 megahertz processor. Okay, MUSI is 32 megahertz. And then let's say it has 16 MB. I'm just giving an example. I'm not sure what is the memory of this board. I'm just giving you some example. So 16 MB of memory. Okay. So sorry, 16 MB of memory. So the thing is now, because I need more memory, what I have done is I have basically changed my entire microcontroller board. Okay. Which is not a good sign. The user will not be happy because this is more expensive. I have to spend more money to buy this kind of a board. Okay. So in order to counteract all these things, then some of these companies basically thought about it. Can we make some hardware? Can we make some hardware so that the user will design what he wants himself or herself? Where at the field means at the customer site. Field means at the customer's site. Okay, customers in his own site, he will try to decide what is the hardware that you want. I'll give you one example. Okay, let's say I have one application where I want to do a 1000 times addition. Okay, I want to do 1000 times addition. Okay, 1000 times addition, how will I do? I am having only one ALU in my microcontroller. So I have a microcontroller board. I have one ALU and one control unit. I have to do 1000 times. This ALU will contain only one adder. Okay. I want to do 1000 times addition. What will I do? Then I'll make it as a loop. Okay. The first addition I'll do, the output will be taken out to the memory. Then I'll do second addition, then third addition, fourth addition, like this 1000 times I'll make a loop, 1000 times loop. Correct? Now the problem is, can I make this faster? Because this ALU contains one multiplier, it will contain divider, it will contain subtract, all these are not used. I'm only using an adder. So can I make something like that where I have 1000 adders only? I don't want to have an ALU which contains, I don't want to have an ALU which contains a multiplier or divider or subtractor, because I'm going to use only addition for my application for now. Okay. So then I want to design an ALU which contains only 1000 adders. Is it possible? Yes, this is possible. And this is what it is done using the concept of FPGA. FPGA, the concept came based on this one. It's called field programmable gate array. Okay, this is a concept which came in early 2000s. Okay, it's called field programmable. What do you mean by field programmable? Field means at the customer's location, at the site. For example, I'm having it in my lab. Then my lab becomes my field. I'm having it in my house. My house becomes my field. And then ultimately, I will program myself what exactly I want. For example, I want 1000 adders. Then I can program this using these gate arrays. It has lots of gates, like your NOR gates, AND gates, OR gates. We have lots of gates. Okay. Based on these gates, I'm trying to do programming myself. Okay. This is called FPGA. So this FPGAs came very popular in early 2000s, and it is still very popular. So in fact, any of your smartphones that you take, for example, if you take your mobile phone can have some processor from Qualcomm, from MediaTek. You have this ARM-based processor. All these processors are there in your mobile phone. For example, let's say you take one company. Let's say we take a company called Samsung. Okay, Samsung is manufacturing a phone, and then it is now released in the market. Now the thing is, he wants to basically make a new phone, upgrade a new phone. What he will do? He will change the processor to a better processor. He'll increase the memory. Then he will try to basically give more features. For example, he can give you one front camera, one back camera. All these things he can give. Okay. So all these things, if you want to incorporate, he will not directly put a new processor and try. What they will do is they'll take one FPGA, they'll make a prototype using FPGA, and then try to test whether all these things work properly. If everything works, then they will make one ASIC, which is application specific integrated circuit. And ultimately he'll manufacture it, and ultimately it will become a mobile phone later. This is how the concept of field programmable gate array came into picture. And now it is very popular, and there are quite a good number of jobs available in Indian scenario for people who have knowledge about FPGA. Okay. So I'm stopping here. Then I'll move on to the next step where we will look into one single processor. Any questions you want to ask? Okay, what is the difference between storage memories and cache memories? Okay, you see, memories are also made out of electronics only. Memories are also made out of transistors only. The thing is, you want something which is very compact so that it can be placed very close to the CPU. The more closer to the microcontroller or the processor, naturally that will become very fast because the communication interface can be very fast. Okay, but when it comes to storage memories, they use a different concept. The concept is, for example, I'm connecting my hard disk or my pen drive to a USB port. Okay, what is USB? USB is universal serial bus. Okay, which is actually a serial communication. So the communication itself will make it slower. But the advantage you have is you can have a bigger memory which can be kept outside, and it is basically made using magnetic disks. Or now if you get SSDs, SSDs are still made out of electronics, but you're made out of magnetic disks, and these magnetic disks are usually slow because you have to use a motor to basically drive and check the contents. Okay, register is made out of flip-flops. and register is actually, memory is actually made out of a group of registers. We will see now. We'll see now. Now we'll move on to the next section where I will tell you how registers are used. Any other questions you guys have?
Hello.
Yes.
So what is what about virtual memory? Virtual memory in which we give a 4 bits, so we didn't get that more storage.
No, the
We
thing is,
get
no, in virtual memory, what happens is, for example, you have RAM, ROM, and other memories. Some memories are specifically used for storing only programs. Some memories are used for storing only data. Okay. Now, what we want to do is, for example, the program is so long that the memory of your program is not sufficient. Then what you can do is, for a short period of time, you can loan some memory of your data and then use it for program memory also. So that is where the concept of virtual memory comes into picture.
Yes. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions? Now we'll move on to the first exercise. Okay, because we have another 15 minutes left. Okay, we'll move on to the first exercise. Now you got some idea about what is a processor, what is a microcontroller, and somebody who's from a different mechanical background or something, maybe you will find it a little difficult, but understand that, think that it is like a computer. Okay, it is like a computer. It is going to be used on a real-time basis. It has some arithmetic logic unit. It has some control units. Okay. Now what we want to do is, I'll again share the screen. We want to basically build our own processor. Till now, what we have done, we have explained we have looked at what are all the processors available in the market. We looked at Arduino, we looked at FPGA, we looked at different microcontrollers, we looked at DSPs. Now what we want to do is, we want to now look at making our own processor. Okay. So this is like a home assignment I'm going to give. So we'll give you some hints and then we'll leave it as it is. We'll come back tomorrow and look at how to design this. Okay. So now what we are going to do, we are going to make our own processor. Okay. So our job is to make your own processor. We have seen 8085, we have seen 8051. All these are what? All these are already available in the market, manufactured by some company. Okay. And these people, they give instructions. They'll say, okay, 255 instructions. They give some instructions. We have to use those instructions to do what we want. Okay. That is what you guys have been doing in projects and all these things. Now, what we want to do is, we want to understand the basics of all these things. For understanding the basics of all these things, I want to build my own processor. Okay. We'll make some assumptions so that life will become easy. Okay. So 8085 processor, which is manufactured by Intel in 1950s, 1960s, they had 255 instructions. Okay. We will make one processor which will only have 4 instructions. Only 4 instructions, because life becomes easy for us. It becomes easy so that we can basically do something and learn from this. So we'll have only 4 instructions. Okay. First instruction is load data. The first instruction is what? First instruction is load data. Second instruction, let's say I call it move Rx, Ry. I'll tell you what is Rx, Ry. Third instruction, let's say we put an add. Add Rx, Ry. Fourth instruction, let's say include subtract Rx, Ry. Okay. So we are going to build our own processor, something like 8085, 8051, Arduino. We are going to build our own processor. So if you build this processor, you can keep the name as your name. Okay. So I will say that this is Srivatsan's processor. Okay. Like this, you can keep your own name of your processor if you build this processor. Okay. The processor contains only 4 instructions. Okay. The processor contains only 4 instructions. Okay. So we'll explain what is the instruction. First instruction is load data, which means that data is going to come to, let's say load Rx, data. I'll put Rx, data. Okay. What is Rx? Rx, Ry, all these are registers. So you know what is a register now. Register is what? Register is made out of a D flip-flop. or any flip-flops. So you can use registers. So every register is called Rx, Ry. So if let's say in your processor you have 4 registers. So in a microprocessor 8085, how many registers you have? We have A, B, C, D, like this. We have several registers. So let's say I want to have 4 registers, then I'll name it as R0, R1, R2, R3. Like this, I will name these as 4 registers. Okay. So now I'll come back to here. So what is the meaning of this instruction? My meaning of this instruction is, okay, data is loaded into, okay, I'll again put the 4 instructions. Load Rx, data to move Rx, Ry, 3 add Rx, Ry, and 4 is subtract Rx, Ry. Okay. So first, what is the meaning of this? So the data is going to be deposited into the register called Rx. So what is the meaning of move? Move is the contents of. If somebody is sharing the screen, please don't share the screen, because otherwise I'll have issues. Okay. Okay. So the content of Ry is moved into content of Rx. Okay. So here move means, it's actually meaning copy. Okay. The content of Ry is moved into Rx, but then the content is also present in Ry. Okay. Third one is going to be add Rx, Ry. So what is add Rx, Ry? I'll give you the meaning of this. So the Rx will have Rx plus Ry. Okay. The fourth one is subtract, which is Rx please do not use because if you do something also, it basically gives in the live board. The live board is a meeting, so please do not write anything. Please keep your mouse as it
Please
is.
disable. Hello.
Yeah.
Sir, please disable annotation so he cannot do like this.
No, I cannot do this because only the host can do this.
Okay, sir.
Madhurima, can you at least disable notifications? Okay. So Rx become Rx minus R1. Okay. So we have 4 instructions now. First is load Rx, data, move Rx, Ry, add Rx, Ry, and ultimately the last one is going to be subtract Rx, Ry. Okay. Now what we want to do is, we want to build our own processor. Okay. We want to build our own processor, and in this processor, we are going to basically try to build our own processor. First item is to basically try to make a basic block diagram of our architecture. So what is going to be the basic block diagram of architecture? First thing what I have to decide is, I have to decide what is going to be the resolution of my processor, what is going to be the clock frequency of my processor, and I have to think what is going to be the basic structure of my processor. What is going to be the basic structure of my processor? Okay, what is going to be the basic structure of my processor? So these are the things which we have to do it. Okay, so I want you guys to think about it. You can Google it, you can search wherever you want, search whatever book you want, Google it. Because only by doing it, you will learn something about the basics of embedded systems or any of these concepts. Okay, so I want you to think, these are the 4 instructions. Please write down these 4 instructions. I want you to think how to build the basic block diagram of the processor. So you do this and come back. This is like a homework. Tomorrow when we meet, I want you to basically give answers. You can share your screen tomorrow and show me what answers you have. or if you want, you can also take a picture and show the picture also tomorrow. Is that clear? So there are 4 instructions
it
for us:
once.
load, move, add, and subtract. Yes, yeah.
Sir, again repeat homework, please.
Okay. See, the thing is, we have different processors available in the market. We have Arduino, we have 8085, we have 8051, we have PIC microcontrollers, we have Texas Instrument microcontrollers. All these microcontrollers are available. ठीक है? तो आप लोग स्टूडेंट्स, आप लोग क्या कर रहे हैं? आप लोग ये माइक्रो कंट्रोलर या माइक्रो प्रोसेसर का बोर्ड परचेज कर रहे हैं और फिर इसमें प्रोग्राम कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, उसमें एलईडीज लगा रहे हैं और जो भी सेंसर लगा रहे हैं, अल्टीमेटली वो प्रोग्राम कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, हम लोग बेसिक्स से बात करना है. ठीक है, वी वांट टू अंडरस्टैंड हाउ दिस बेसिक्स बेसिकली वर्क. ओके, so how this basics basically work, to understand that what I want to do is I want to build my own processor. See, हमारा own processor build करना है. 8085 में 255 इंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं. हमारा प्रोसेसर में सिर्फ 4 ही इंस्ट्रक्शंस हैं. 4 इंस्ट्रक्शंस क्या क्या है? लोड, मूव, ऐड, सब्ट्रैक्ट. ठीक है, तो अब पहला क्या करना है, हम लोग एक प्रोसेसर बनाना है. So how do we do this? The first thing is to decide what is going to be the resolution of my processor. You want to have 4 bits, 2 bits, 8 bits, 16 bits, 32 bits, 64 bits, you choose. Okay, so you have to first of all choose what is the resolution of your processor. Second thing is we want to choose what is the clock speed of your processor. And the third thing what we want to do is we want to build the architecture or the basic block diagram of my processor. So आप लोग architecture you would have learned architecture no for 8085 in your second year or third year. If you have not learned, doesn't matter. You can just Google it. Just go Google it. Check what is 8085 architecture. You will have thousands of pictures of block diagrams. It will have ALU होगा, CPU होगा, control unit होगा, registers होगा, bus होगा. Like this you see, and then ultimately think what is going to be your processor. Build your own processor. अभी समझ आया?
Yes,
Any
sir.
questions? Any questions? Any questions? आप अनम्यूट करके बात कर सकते हैं, नहीं तो आप टाइप कर सकते हैं. ठीक है, समझ आया ना? Understood? No doubts? No? So you are free to use Google. You Google, you want to search for books, you search for books. You want to look for YouTube videos, you look for videos. Try to find out how to build my own processor. So first thing is to basically decide what is going to be a resolution, what is going to be a clock speed. Next is to basically make a block diagram of your architecture, of your processor, your own processor, which will take 4 instructions: load, move, add, subtract. Can you guys try this? Then we'll again discuss this tomorrow. Yes? Okay, good. So any other questions you guys have, you can ask me, or if you want to give some feedback of whether I'm going in the right speed, whether you want to learn something new, whether you want me to include something, you can also tell me. Otherwise, we'll end this class for today.
हेलो सर.
हाँ, बोलिए.
सर हमेशा जो मतलब प्रोसेसर होता है कोई, तो उसको 4 बिट के कॉम्बिनेशन में क्यों लेते हैं? जैसे 4 बिट का माइक्रो प्रोसेसर या 8 बिट, 16 बिट या फिर 32 बिट. इसके अलावा मतलब और कम में, या फिर जो 64 बिट का होता है 64, उसको हम 65 बिट का नहीं बना?
नहीं, प्रॉब्लम क्या है, ये एक्चुअली बाइनरी लैंग्वेज में होता है. द एंटायर होल माइक्रोप्रोसेसर वर्क्स ऑन बाइनरी लैंग्वेज. ठीक है, तो बाइनरी लैंग्वेज में होता है, इसलिए वो 2 पावर का होता है. वो जो भी नंबर ऑफ बिट्स है वो 2 पावर का होता है. इसलिए 4 बिट्स है, 8 बिट्स है, 16 बिट्स है, 64, 32 बिट्स है, 64 बिट्स है, 2 पावर का होता है. Maybe after some time we'll get 2 power 1, 2 power 2, 2 power 3, 2 power 4, 2 power 5, 2 power 6, like this we can go.
Yes.
ये आपका क्वेश्चन है ना?
Yes sir.
हाँ, ठीक है. Any other questions? So ये होमवर्क आप ट्राई कर लीजिए, हम लोग कल इसमें मेरे साथ में भी ये कर सकते हैं. See, I'm not trying to teach you something which is hi-fi. I'm teaching you something which is more fundamental because you can use that to build the basics. If you have the basics, I'll give you some project ideas on the third day, which you can use it to basically prepare something. ठीक है? Thank you.
हेलो
हाँ.
सर, एक्चुअली मैं एक प्रोजेक्ट बनाने की सोच रहा हूँ. तो उसमें क्या है कि मैं सोच रहा हूँ कि एक एग्जॉस्ट बनाऊं जो
Exhaust.
यस सर. एग्जॉस्ट क्या करेगा कि मतलब जो नॉर्मल अपने घर में अगरबत्ती जलती है तो उस पर बिल्कुल भी मतलब चलेगा नहीं. गैस तो रहती है पर गैस वो भी एक गैस सेंसर रहेगा तो गैस चलेगी, पर गैस से वो एग्जॉस्ट चालू ना हो. जब मेरे घर में कुछ ज्यादा कुछ धुआं आए तो वो चालू हो. एंड सेकेंड थिंग इज दैट जब बहुत ज्यादा जैसे मेरे घर में आग लग जाती है,
Okay.
आग लगने पर वो गैस अलार्म भी देगी कि गैस या मैं कुछ अलार्म ऐड कर दूं तो वो ऐड अलार्म सिर्फ आग पे ही अलार्म दे, अदरवाइज कभी ना दे. चाहे कितनी भी गैस हो, कितना भी हो, पर अलार्म तभी दे वो जब आग आए. तो ऐसा कैसे मैं बना सकता हूँ सर उसको? और सर मेरे को यदि गैस चेक करनी है कि कौन सी गैस है, मींस जैसे हमारे घर में मीथेन गैस है या फिर बहुत सारी सल्फर गैस भी होती हैं आ जाती हैं, तो वो कैसे पता करूंगा कि ये भी गैस है मेरे यहाँ पे?
ठीक है, fine, okay. So see, ठीक है, I can give you answers to your questions, okay. But the problem is if I give answers to your questions, the thing is it is only specific to this project. So वो ये project खत्म होने के बाद हम दूसरा project के बाद फिर क्या करेंगे? फिर again you will have to ask somebody. So instead I'll ask you to search yourself. तो gas sensors available है, तो आप लोग गैस सेंसर्स सर्च कर सकते हैं. यू कैन जस्ट सिंपली सर्च फॉर गैस सेंसर्स. ठीक है, ये एक ऑप्शन है. और केमिकल सेंसर्स अवेलेबल है, और स्मोक सेंसर्स अवेलेबल है, और टेम्परेचर सेंसर्स अवेलेबल है. LM35 एक सिंपल छोटा सा सिंपल टेम्परेचर सेंसर है. ठीक है, तो ये सेंसर्स लेके आप एक्चुअली यूज कर सकते हैं.
सर व्हाई वी नीड LM35?
It's a temperature sensor. You want to, if it is a smoke, if it is a smoke sensor, it will sense your smoke.
Yes.
ठीक है, but then you want to check for fire but not smoke, right?
Yes.
तो फायर से क्या होता है? टेम्परेचर बढ़ जाता है.
Okay.
फिर टेम्परेचर सेंसर यूज कर सकते हैं.
Okay sir.
तो इसका एक ही आंसर नहीं है. There are several ways of doing it.
And if I want to check the gas name, means which gases exist in my house?
So there are some specific gas sensors available also. There are some methane gas sensors, there are some LPG gas sensors.
Okay, means is it any specific sensor so in which
Then
I can
I have to also search because I have not worked on this gas application. So the thing
Okay.
is, you basically try to search in Google, search and try to find out what kind of sensors are available.
Okay sir.
ठीक है, so directly because every application is different, so you basically try to search for some this thing, or search and try to find out.
Okay sir.
I can also search and find out and tell you.
Okay sir, thank you sir.
Okay, एक और क्वेश्चन आया, पर्सनल क्लाउड बन सकता है. See, there are several ways of making your own personal cloud. Free also you can make. So Arduino gives you an option to basically make your own cloud application. And there is a software, there is a website called ThingSpeak. THING. I'll type it also. THINGSPAK. ThingSpeak. ThingSpeak is the ThingSpeak is also is actually part of MATLAB. They also allow you to basically have your own personal cloud servers. Okay, these are all free, but there are several other servers also available which are actually you have to pay. Even Google gives you servers, cloud servers for IoT. Microsoft gives you cloud servers for IoT. Okay. Any other questions? So ये homework आप लोग करना ही है. ठीक है, हम लोग साथ में कर लेंगे कल. At least you guys at least try to learn what is architecture, try to come out with some ideas so that you can basically be on page with me. ठीक है, कल सुबह मिलते हैं फिर. ठीक है, थैंक यू.
Thank you, sir.
ओके, थैंक यू, बाय बाय।
थैंक यू सर।
ठीक है, थैंक यू। कल मिलते हैं, आप लोग ये होमवर्क करके फिर आ जाना है।